So Noah is now fully vaccinated, and he's starting to herd Gina. Come by. So in this vlog, we're going to discuss the raison d'etre behind vaccinations. I know many people are, sort of against vaccinations. What are the pros and cons? For us, because we have a farm as well, vaccinations are very important. And we want to make sure that we are protecting young dogs whenever possible. So enjoy the clip. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact my team. This is part of our puppy vaccination. We have a border collie puppy here, and he is being vaccinated today, and we're doing a health check. Is that correct?
Yeah. Correct.
Excellent.
Health check for little Noah. So teeth looking fine, so we've got a nice, healthy, soft palate. Mouth is looking good. All his little baby deciduous teeth.
Because sometimes you've got problems with undershot and overbites, etc., right? But I think we've got a perfect bite with this.
I think he's got quite good conformation.
Good.
So we've already got the body weight, and I think his body condition is quite good. Probably give him a 4 out of 9, which is within the normal range. So we can check his ears. Nice and clean. Nice pert ears, nice open canals. Little bit of earwax, which is normal.
Good boy.
Fine. Good boy. Well done. Right.
And can we also check and see whether both his testicles have been descended?
I start at the front and
work
back.
backwards.
Is that
Wonderful.
right?
That's
Is that
perfectly
right?
fine.
But definitely make sure everything is where it's supposed to be.
Fantastic. He's beautiful, isn't he?
Good boy.
Good boy, Noah.
Noah's Ark. I can promise all the breeders out there that we will be very breeder friendly. It's going to be a very different approach. You are very welcome.
We're going to spin him around to you. So I'm feeling to see if his belly button is normal. Make sure that there's no hernia there. That feels fine.
And what are the signs of a hernia?
So a hernia would be a little break in the abdominal wall. It's where his umbilical cord would have attached. And what you'd feel is a little indentation. So it's like a defect.
Sure.
And depending on the size of it, sometimes you'll be able to get a finger in. Sometimes
Sure.
you can just appreciate that there's a little...
And sometimes I've noticed that also it's large enough that almost part of the intestine starts to seep through.
Yes. Those would be, that would be a severe hernia, and those we'd normally look to get surgically corrected as soon as possible.
Because if you don't and it happens to close up around, it could cause a blockage, right?
Yes, it could incarcerate the intestine. That could be life-threatening.
So very important to check those pups thoroughly.
Always check,
Yeah,
yes.
even before the vet, check your pups. Make sure that you're handling them, and if you see any abnormalities, definitely seek advice. Okay, so he's just had his temperature taken, and why do we do that?
Just to make sure he's got a normal body temperature within
Okay.
the normal range.
And what is the range?
It can vary, but our sort of general rule of thumb with your little ones is they have slightly higher body temperature. So I would say, provided it's not in excess of about 39.0 degrees Celsius, I would be happy to vaccinate. If they have an elevated body temperature, I would probably wait until the temperature normalized before vaccinating.
Excellent. And just interestingly for those that are going to be following and learning, unlike human beings, you don't put the thermometer in the mouth of your dog, do you? It's all done in the rectum of the dog.
That's
correct.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so that's something to note if you are looking to take the temperature of your of your puppy.
Yes.
Okay, so vaccinations. Some people are pro, some people are against it. And I think by law, the only requirement is to have a dog microchipped. It isn't compulsory. And it's an interesting discussion. I've always been pro-vaccines. But from a medical and scientific point of view, what would your response be in relation to someone that was a little bit concerned about vaccinations?
I would say vaccinations for a young puppy like Noah are very important. We vaccinate against diseases like distemper, hepatitis, parvovirus, all of which are very serious illnesses and can be life-threatening. Distemper is uncommonly seen in the UK, but it's very difficult to cure. And I would say most of the animals who contract viral illnesses like distemper would actually not make a full recovery.
And if you don't mind, as I speak for the people, a lot of times we've gone into veterinary centres and we've had this vaccination card and we talk about distemper, we talk about parvo, we talk about all these things. But what we're going to do today really is, for those that are anti-vaccination, sometimes it's lack of deep information. So you talk about distemper. I've seen this many years ago, and it's an incredibly dangerous disease. It is the suffering that an animal goes through. I think that if anybody was aware, they wouldn't be so resistant. So can we talk about distemper just for a moment? How does a dog get distemper?
Distemper is an extremely contagious viral disease, Ben. Highly contagious, and young puppies and actually dogs of all ages are quite vulnerable to it. Dogs who contract distemper actually manifest extremely disturbing neurological signs, and there can be other kind of general systemic manifestations as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So again, many of us don't want to vaccinate. It's really important that you do at least the first vaccinations.
Good boy. Perfect.
So what was that combination? Was that a combination of vaccines?
It's a multivalent vaccine of distemper, hepatitis, parvovirus, and leptospirosis.
I wanted to talk to you about leptospirosis. This is a word that's used a lot and it means nothing to us. The purpose of our vlogs really is transparency and education. There might be a young child that watches this and gets motivated to study veterinary medicine. That's wonderful. And there might be somebody that has been uneducated, unlike myself, that is uneducated to a point where there's a level of sort of ignorance that can become a negative thing for the dog that you love. So, without further ado, can you break down for us, please?
So leptospirosis is a zoonotic illness for that, so it is of public health relevance as well. It is an illness, therefore, that people can contract, and
Really?
yes, people can get leptospirosis.
Right. And is that, how would a human sort of get that from their puppy? Or vice versa?
So, from the bodily emissions.
So when you're having a dog lick your face and lick your mouth and you didn't vaccinate your dog, actually you have a disease profile that is actually transferable from humans to... I would say to you that I am pretty sure that 90% of the civilians that are watching this will not be aware of that. And this is why we do this.
So again, you've got environmental contamination and transmission from a contaminated environment, which can then get onto hands, food, etc., and be ingested.
So realistically, the vaccination is the best prevention.
Absolutely.
Now, is this like a puppy exposure thing, and as they grow older, their immune system creates more of a tolerance? Or is this something that needs to be done throughout the life of the dog?
So, particularly with so once they've actually had a full course of vaccination, which will normally comprise a minimum of 2 vaccinations, they are immune for all the diseases they were vaccinated against for a period of a year, and then after a period of a year they will require a booster, and then thereafter different protocols can be followed depending on the vaccine schedule. So our experience with the viral components of the vaccine is that they provide immunity for a little bit longer, so sometimes these can persist for up to 3 years. Lepto in particular does need yearly boosting, so...
I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I speak for the people.
Yes.
You're just ripping us off, making us come every year, and our dog doesn't need it. Why all these boosters? What about all the wild dogs in Africa and all these places? They don't get boosters. What's your response to that?
I mean, so in terms of how long the vaccines actually are effective for, we've actually got data that supports what we promote. If there are any people who are skeptical about whether their dog needs to be have a follow-up vaccine, there are always tests that can be run to determine what the dog's antibody titers are like, and we can always test that, and if they're adequate, we can...
This is the most important, because now for us to import a dog into the UK from certain third world countries, we must have a tighter blood sampling.
Yes.
Because is there an argument? And like I said, I'm here to understand the science. I'm here to understand the truth and reconcile the misconception that many of us civilians have. So there is another school of thought, and I have this school of thought, that being an African man, there are children in Africa that don't seem to have these allergies, right, that we have in modern societies, you know. And one of the things that we do in modern society is give a lot of vaccinations. Mm-hmm. The natural immune system is not allowed to develop. Mm-hmm. And I've noticed a trend over the last 2 decades of these constant boosters that have been given to dogs. Does this make a weaker animal? What is the science behind that, in your opinion?
Vaccination boosters?
Yeah.
So it's as simple as the vaccine has a particular duration of efficacy in the body, and as soon as the antibody titers relative to that vaccine drop, we boost them. So as I said, some of the fractions in the vaccine last longer than the others, so we've got data that guides us, and we only boost those that are required. So Lepto, we know, does only last for 12 months, and we know that it does need to be boosted annually. The viral fractions last for a little bit longer, and so we follow the manufacturer's guide on boosting those.
And I love your flexibility, talking to you, your willingness to proof to a potential client that, well, actually, you're happy to do a blood test, right? Absolutely. To let them know, because you're not here to just do, you're here to give a service. Your client is the dog and the human owner. Mm-hmm. And what we want you to feel comfortable with when you come and see us is your freedom to ask questions. So we can give you clarity. And a lot of the vlogs that we do will be talking in depth. You guys can understand one thing. I am not on the vet side. I'm on your side until the truth is well established. So it's really interesting having a discussion with you. And I hope that the people that are watching are enjoying it and learning. So another aspect is this, the rabies vaccination, right? We are a quarantine-led country where, you know, rabies, we have animals being quarantined for 4 months. And we understand the science of rabies, that there is no reported case of any canine in the world that has been impacted or infected by rabies that's lived over 21 days. Now, is that a factual statement I'm making or not, from your understanding?
I think that's largely factual, although as statistics would have it, there will always be a variation on that particular timeline that you quoted.
Okay.
Yes. But it's not very long. It's not a very long period of time.
Very long period of time.
Yes, and rabies is incurable for animals and man.
And that's, again, another transferable disease profile. If you got bitten by a rabid dog, you will be doing more than the Michael Jackson moonwalk. So that's why sometimes it's important that we look at the rabies vaccine. So why are we discriminating rabies vaccination as a protocol? Why isn't that within the vaccination regime these days?
That is because rabies in domestic animals was eradicated in the UK in the 70s, and so for our domestic pets, it's not of any significance. It is important for our imported pets so that we can keep the UK rabies free.
So if someone wanted to have the rabies in preparation to traveling all over the world. So, we all want to go into Europe now. We're out of the EU, and, preparing for the future and preparing for, traveling overseas. Could there be a discussion, principally, when we qualify people, that at this stage, let's say I plan to travel once or twice a year, and I'm now vaccinating my puppy for the first time. Would we then consider giving the rabies as well, so that we can have a legitimate paperwork for them to travel?
I would always recommend vaccinating in anticipation of travel, absolutely.
Okay, and that again is a yearly booster?
That varies according to the manufacturer's guideline. I believe in the UK it is every 3 years.
Wonderful. So another discussion is this. Again, I speak on behalf of the public. We've given a vaccination to a puppy. We go out, we've got to go to work. Yeah, all of us, right? We walk around and we're told that this puppy has to be locked in a home somewhere and hasn't got access to go out. What's the truth behind this?
So any puppy that's unvaccinated until it's had its complete course of injections, which would be 2 injections, an appropriate interval apart, typically 2 to 4 weeks apart, they are still vulnerable to contracting illness. So until the immune system has mounted a appropriate immune response and has generated the appropriate immunity, we always recommend that we protect this puppy from any of those contagious illnesses that we're vaccinating against.
So the truth is
that other dogs might be carrying or might be in the environment.
So basically, the vaccination, the immune system is what we're trying to have well established before exposure.
Yes.
So another confusing aspect is, we're on Google and we all learn on Google, and some vaccination protocols are now saying that we could vaccinate and within 2 weeks of the vaccination come for another vaccine, and then we can have our pup go outside. Some are now saying that vaccines can be done as early as 6 or 7 weeks. What is the truth, and what are the options?
Again, we are guided by the manufacturers who make the vaccines. So a typical vaccination protocol would be vaccinated 8 weeks, have them return either at 10 weeks or at 12 weeks. So the leptospirosis vaccine that we use requires an interval of 4 weeks, whereas the distemper hepatitis parvo component requires an interval of 2 weeks. So sometimes in a puppy that is maybe a little bit older, like Noah, who's 3 months old, we might want to get him out and about a little bit earlier. So for Noah, we might suggest a split second vaccine just to enable early kind of socialization. And that is probably okay. It's a balanced risk, but obviously we have protected him against the viral illnesses, but we would then just recommend caution with public sources of water, just to protect against leptospirosis.
Wonderful. I've got to say, it makes a lot of sense. I'm very knowledgeable, but even listening to you, it gives clarity. And the whole point of these vlogs is to give clarity. If you've got any questions, actually, post a comment and we will read those comments and we'll try and find some answers for all of you. So just walk around, call him. He's had his full vaccinations now. For us, it's really important that we follow the whole protocol. I hope you've enjoyed the videos. transparency is something that's so important. And like I said, for many of you that have followed me over the years, I feel incredibly blessed that I have my own veterinary practice, but I do it for us. I do it for the people. And we just will do our best to tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. We want to offer you an incredible service. We want to give you in-depth knowledge so you can make an informed decision. Please like and share.
Please feel free to call the Noah's Ark team for any type of support that you might need. We have a state-of-the-art facility set in 55 acres. We also have paddocks that clients can use for running their dogs. And due to our historic ability to handle the more powerful working dogs, we specialize in that aspect.